This show has been running since flip phones were popular, and after all these years, Peppa Pig is still full of strange moments nobody talks about. 1. Aunt Dottie's identity crisis. For 20 years, Aunt Dottie was just a mystery behind the mailbox. She never visited, never called. She only sent presents. Odd, right? Then she finally appears out of nowhere, and everything about her feels wrong. Unlike every other grown-up, she isn't called Pig, just Dottie. She doesn't sound British, loves American holidays like Thanksgiving, and acts like she's been living a totally different life. And remember the gift she sent when she was MIA? A wheeled horse that nearly launched Daddy Pig off a hill. That's not a fun toy, that's a hazard. So who is Aunt Dottie really? A long-lost relative, or someone who was never meant to come back? 2. Clare Cow was never really there. Clare Cow shows up in town sometimes, but no one seems to notice her. She's seen with Mr. Bull and Mrs. Cow, so people assume they're her parents. But she wasn't at their wedding, and she doesn't go to Peppa's school. That's strange, because everyone in Peppa's world goes to the same class. Clare just appears in the background, like a glitch in the system. No one talks to her. No one says her name. Some fans think she's adopted. Others think she's not even real. Maybe she's the ghost of a kid who never made it to class. 3. Madame Gazelle lives in a warped reality. From the outside, her house leans left, but once you step inside, the floor tilts the other way. Peppa literally slides in both directions, depending on the scene. At first, it seems like a silly cartoon joke, but the more you watch, the weirder it gets. The physics of the house make no sense. Is it built on some kind of cursed land? A portal? A black hole in the suburbs? Maybe Madame Gazelle doesn't live in the real world at all. Maybe she's stuck in a pocket universe, and now she's dragging her poor students into it with her. 4. The school is a money pit scam. Every time the school roof breaks, the solution is always the same. Another fundraiser. Madame Gazelle never calls for repairs, never hires help. She just asks the same tired parents to run another bake sale or fun run. It keeps happening like clockwork. The roof breaks, the parents pay, nothing changes. At this point, it doesn't feel like bad luck. It feels like a scheme. Is someone pocketing the money? Is the roof even real? Maybe the school isn't underfunded. It's just running a scam. If so, Madame Gazelle might not be a teacher at all. She might be a con artist. 5. Grandpa Rabbit has lived too many lives. Grandpa Rabbit says he's 100 years old, but everything about him screams unnatural. He never tires. He works 10 jobs. He's launched rockets, built submarines, and battled wild animals like it's no big deal. That's not retirement. That's a resume from a test lab. What if Grandpa Rabbit wasn't just lucky or strong, but made that way? Maybe he escaped from some secret program trying to build the perfect animal? It would explain why he's everywhere, doing everything, without aging or resting. The town treats him like a local hero. But maybe he's a leftover from a science project gone too far. 6. The rabbit family should be underwater by now. While every other family lives safely on hilltops, the rabbits decided to dig into one. Their home is a network of tunnels, deep in the earth, right where floodwater would rush first. The town literally planned for heavy rain by building high. So why didn't the rabbits move? Do they know something the others don't? Maybe their house is waterproof, or maybe it isn't. What if the original rabbit family was wiped out in a past flood, and this new one is just a second generation that never learned the lesson? Either way, that burrow feels less like a home and more like a trap. 7. Peppa's world has a medical class divide. In Peppa's world, everyone is an animal, but not everyone gets the same doctor. Characters like Daddy Pig see Dr. Bear, a regular physician. Meanwhile, pets like Goldie the fish have to visit Dr. Hamster, the vet. So, why the split? Are some animals considered more human than others? It's not about species, it's about status. If you walk on 2 legs and talk, you get a doctor. If you swim or chirp, you get second-tier care. It's not healthcare, it's a hierarchy. The show never explains it, but one thing's clear. Some animals get checkups, others just get cages. 8. Miss Rabbit is always watching. Miss Rabbit has every job in town. She flies helicopters, runs shops, works at the hospital, and even drives the Queen. No matter where Peppa's family goes, there she is, already waiting. It's not just weird, it's suspicious. You never see 2 of her at once, and she always shows up when something big is happening. Maybe she's not overworked. Maybe she's assigned. What if Miss Rabbit isn't a citizen at all, but an undercover agent keeping tabs on the pig family? Every laugh, every trip, every puddle, she's there. Not by chance, but by order. Someone is watching, and she's on payroll. 9. Mandy Mouse might be a lab escapee. Mandy Mouse is the only character in a wheelchair, which already makes her stand out. But there's something else that doesn't sit right. Mice are common test animals in real life, used in labs for science experiments. So, when a super smart mouse suddenly shows up with mobility issues, it raises questions. What if Mandy wasn't born like this? What if something happened to her in a lab? Maybe she wasn't supposed to survive. Maybe she wasn't even supposed to escape. She's cheerful and kind, but the silence around her past is loud. Nobody talks about it because maybe they're not allowed to. 10. Susie Sheep might be a science project. Susie Sheep doesn't have a dad. Her family is all female, and no one explains why. She wears science-themed pajamas and talks about the future like she's preparing for something big. It's almost too perfect. Some fans believe she's not a regular kid at all, but a clone. Maybe Grandpa Rabbit, who builds rockets and submarines in his free time, started testing livestock cloning. And Susie was the first try. A walking, talking wool factory. She's friendly, smart, and a little too put together. If this theory's true, Susie wasn't born like the others. She was printed, not delivered. 11th, Mrs. Crocodile doesn't belong in this world. Every animal in Peppa's world is a mammal, except one. Mrs. Crocodile works at the zoo, speaks like everyone else, and raises her family in plain sight. But something feels off. Even Madame Gazelle, who barely flinches at chaos, acts nervous around her. Why is a cold-blooded predator living among friendly pigs and sheep? Some believe she was once wild and forced to adapt. Others think she comes from a hidden group of reptiles deep under the lake. Maybe she isn't here to fit in. Maybe she's here to spy, study, or prepare the world for something darker that hasn't arrived yet. 12. The Queen might be the last one left. When Peppa visits the Queen, the palace is completely empty. There are no guards at the gates, no staff in the halls, and no royal family in sight. The Queen greets guests herself, serves tea alone, and even walks off to fetch her own boots. That is not normal royal behavior. Something must have happened. Some believe she is under house arrest. Others think she rules by magic and banished everyone else. Either way, she lives in a massive palace that feels more like a locked tower. A crown is a heavy thing, especially when no one else is left to wear one. 13. Peppa's school might be trapping kids in a time loop. George is much younger than Peppa, yet they're in the same class with the same teacher. That wouldn't raise eyebrows if it happened once, but it happens all the time. Every child, no matter their age, ends up in the same classroom, learning the same things from the same person. If George is already there, what was Peppa doing when she was his age? There's no record of that. Maybe this school doesn't move forward? Maybe it resets? Madame Gazelle might not be teaching students how to grow. She might be keeping them from aging at all. 14. Gerald Giraffe wasn't built like the others. Gerald Giraffe stands 3 times taller than his classmates. Meanwhile, Emily Elephant, an animal that should be huge, is the same size as Peppa. The height system in this world makes no sense. It only works for one species, and that's suspicious. Why are giraffes the exception? Maybe Gerald wasn't born in the same place. Maybe he was brought in from somewhere else, like a test subject or a visitor from a separate class of evolved animals. If everyone else was designed to fit the town, Gerald might be the only one who slipped through before the blueprint was finalized. 15. Some animals in Peppa's world never evolve. Captain Dog once told a story about seeing wild polar bears in the North Pole. That sounds normal, until you remember that Penny Polar Bear lives like everyone else, goes to school, talks, and wears clothes. This creates a strange problem. If some polar bears walk on 2 legs and talk, while others still crawl on all 4s and growl, what exactly happened? Either evolution hit halfway and gave up, or Peppa's world is hiding a dark truth. Maybe the civilized animals are experiments, and the wild ones are what they used to be. One speaks, the other remembers. 16. Time might be frozen in Peppa's universe. In Peppa's world, children stay little forever, and adults never seem to age. You only ever see toddlers and parents. No teenagers, no college kids, no awkward in-between phases. Peppa has been 4 years old for nearly 2 decades, and nobody finds that strange. The adults never show signs of getting older either. Mummy and Daddy Pig still do the same things in every episode, like they're trapped in a perfect routine. It feels less like a town and more like a frozen simulation. Maybe the timeline is looping, maybe something or someone is keeping it that way. If growing up is impossible, then Peppa's school isn't preparing kids for life. It's preparing them to repeat it. 17. Peppa Pig might not be a 3-dimensional life form. No matter how Peppa turns her head, both eyes are always visible. Left, right, upside down, it doesn't matter. Her second eye refuses to disappear. At first glance, it looks like a lazy drawing style. But what if it's not? What if Peppa isn't built like a normal animal at all? Her face might not be round. It could be flat, folded, or even outside regular dimensions. Some fans believe Peppa exists in 2 dimensions, while everything around her lives in 3. Others think she's not part of the world at all, but projected onto it. Whatever the truth is, her face ignores the rules of physics, and possibly reality. 18. Susie might be hiding a very real secret. Susie Sheep once brought an imaginary friend named Leo the Lion to Peppa's house. She said he was invisible, just for fun, but the way she spoke to him felt oddly serious. She gave him opinions, moods, even a voice. Peppa played along, but there was something strange in the way Susie acted. Almost like she believed Leo was real. What if Leo wasn't just pretend? Maybe he was someone or something only Susie could see? A psychic bond? A ghost from her past? Maybe Leo was never made up, but forgotten. Sometimes imaginary friends are just memories with new names, and sometimes they don't leave when the game ends. 19. Grandpa Pig might have a criminal past. Grandpa Pig says he used to be a sailor, but the details don't quite line up. He owns a parrot named Polly, sails around with a pirate flag, and hands out treasure maps like souvenirs. He tells Peppa and George stories about sea monsters, buried gold, and wild adventures that sound less like a naval career and more like piracy. No one questions it, probably because he hides behind gardening and boat rides, but maybe he isn't just an old sailor with funny tales. Maybe he's covering up a past full of stolen treasure and ship raids. If Grandpa Pig once sailed the 7 seas, he might not have been following the rules while he did it. 20. Madame Gazelle's name might reveal her true identity. Madame Gazelle has been teaching for generations, yet she never seems to age. In one episode, her sisters casually call her Gigi, but no one explains what it means. It could be short for her real name, maybe Gaida or Gazelle, but there's something colder behind it. What if it doesn't stand for a name at all? Some fans believe GG means governing ghost, a title passed down through secret, possibly supernatural ranks. That theory fits oddly well with her past in a rock band, her Eastern European accent, and the time she cast no reflection in a mirror. Madame Gazelle may not be a teacher at all. She might be an immortal being sent to monitor children, hide in plain sight, and protect something ancient buried in Peppa's world. The name isn't just a nickname, it might be a code. And someone definitely doesn't want us to know what it stands for. 21. Madame Gazelle's classroom might be the only one left. Every child in Peppa's town, no matter their age, attends the same class with Madame Gazelle. George, who can barely talk, sits next to kids who know their shapes and sing songs in key. There are no preschool rooms, no older student groups, and definitely no other teachers. The only time we see another school is when Clare Cow appears. But even that feels like a glitch in the system. Why would an entire country have just one classroom? Maybe Madame Gazelle isn't a normal teacher. Maybe she's been assigned to monitor the next generation, all in one place, so they stay controlled and easy to track. The school could be a front, hiding the fact that children are not being educated, they're being contained. The playtime, the songs, the endless crafts, they might all be distractions to stop the kids from realizing something much bigger is going on. 22. The school might be running a financial scam. Every time something breaks at Peppa's school, Madame Gazelle asks the parents to raise money. Whether it's the roof, the playground, or a music stand, the solution is always the same: another fundraiser. The town seems to have no budget, no taxes, and no real financial plan. Parents run marathons, throw bake sales, and auction their own belongings. Yet the problems keep coming back. Nothing ever gets permanently fixed. It's almost like someone doesn't want it to. What if the school isn't just poorly managed? What if it's part of a bigger scam? Maybe Madame Gazelle is embezzling funds or hiding something expensive beneath the floorboards. Maybe the town isn't broken at all. They're just being drained. When every problem is solved with donations and every donation disappears, it's hard to believe the money is going where it should. Someone's pockets might be deeper than the school roof. That's all for now. But if Peppa Pig has taught us anything, it's that strange things hide in plain sight. Which mystery do you think was actually a hidden message from the writers? Sound off below and subscribe so you don't miss the next time we expose your favorite cartoons.